Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T. Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Miss T.
Can't wait for you to meet Miss T. She is the T in T.
Okay, so just so that you know, this is my podcast episode 113. Do you know what that number means to me? It means something very special to me. First of all, welcome Sweet Tea Time. We're about to get into it. But 113, that's my birthday. Yay! So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the importance of celebrating you. Now, I will admit that has not been a strong thing for me in the past. Largely because of the way I was brought up, the way I was groomed. It just wasn't a day that was celebrated in a way that I was obviously special on this day. In fact, that's something that I've had to fight for over the decades. In fact, I grew in that I started treating myself the same way I was treated on the day that I'm supposed to be treated special. So this is a special podcast because it is podcast 113 and 113 is my birthday. So we're going to talk about the importance of celebrating you. So some of the reasons that you want to celebrate you is because it commemorates monumental moments. So it's not just the day you were born, it's also the day you arrived to walk in your assignment on this planet. So for T, that took me years to discover. And so I would do these different steps, but and again, a lot of my work, a lot of what I do as far as my journey on this planet, it does serve other people. And so one of the things that I would do is I would get lost in the service of others and I would forget the service of myself, which became very depleting. And so I would be exhausted trying to serve others and I wouldn't have energy or time or creativity to serve the person who's serving the people. And so, one of the ways that I started trying to do that is I would celebrate T when I would have a win. I would celebrate T when I would have a victory. I would celebrate T when I would do something that was challenging for me, but I fought over time and overcame. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. And I know that, not everybody has this challenge. I know that some people are very good. Some people are very good at celebrating. In fact, there are people that are so good at celebrating that they need to have a little more focus on working, but I'm not one of those people. And so I know that there are people that where this is not necessarily a thing, but it's my 113 podcast and I'll talk about whatever I want. And today it's celebration. And so some of the ways that I'm doing that now that I'm older and a little more mature and a little more attentive in the importance of celebrating my wins is whenever I have a victory. So for example's sake, for the past several years, I've spent a great deal of time in trying to acquire the right space as a headquarters. And when I'm saying space, I mean building for a headquarters where I can really train people, where I can really build something special, where people could come and have access to equipment and technology, but also people that can help them grow in their it and their wonderful thing that they do, their talent. And so for many, many years, I fought so hard, 15 years to be exact, to buy a building, not just rent a space, not just borrow a space, not just, coexist in a space, but I wanted ownership of a space. So it took me 15 years. But when I crossed the finish line into that victory of large space ownership, I celebrated. And how I celebrated was, again, I'm not a real public celebrating kind of person, but I did have a birthday party because when I bought the building, the day I bought the building on 113, I actually signed the paperwork. It also happened to be my 50th birthday. So I had a party. And because I am who I am and I am how I am, I had to actually hire someone to help to do the party because of the importance of celebrating such a big moment. So it wasn't just I bought a building. It was also I was turning 50 years old. And so celebration and in scaled celebration, again, a bit of a challenge, but I did it. I did it anyway. Another way, and I get smaller victories. I have little battles just like you do. I know you do. And so I'm a trinket kind of person. You know what I mean? So I like little things. I like to collect little things. So when I have the smaller experiences where I win, sometimes I'll just get seashells. And then I collect them. And then before you know it, I have this thing full of seashells. And what that represents to me is I did something hard and I won. And here's my celebration for it. It is something that I really enjoy, which is these beautiful seashells. And so again, we're talking about the importance of celebrating you. I've learned over time, when you are go, 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 work, 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 hard, 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 sometimes if you don't breathe and appreciate the effort that you're putting into life, it makes you not want to do it. And that's not good. So some of the other ways that I celebrate is I like to travel. I like to go see other parts of the world. And so there are moments, seasons of my life that are so intense and challenging because the workload is so weighty that I can dangle a carrot in front of myself called adventure. And in 2 months, after I give this everything I got and I fight and I fight and I fight and I fight and I win, my celebration is I am going to go turn into Dora the Explorer and I'm going to go adventure someplace that doesn't require me to do the weight of the work that I was doing before. So then my celebration becomes an incentive to get through heavy seasons. Again, I'm very public facing. I'm very people service oriented. And that can sometimes be so draining. So if you don't have something to celebrate that kind of heavy lift that's in front of you, sometimes it's not easy to keep running in the same direction. You may want to stop or you may want to take a left. And then who knows what you might miss or who you might miss or what you might miss because you paused or you stopped or you turned when you should have just kept going straight. So sometimes posturing a celebration moment in front of a hard season will help you get through the season because you're getting to something that celebrates you and your effort. So again, the importance of celebrating you also is prevention. There's so many people I know, and I think it's a cultural thing. Like the women in my family for the past 4 generations that I know, we just work. We work outside of the home. We work in the home. We're doing all the kids stuff. We're cleaning stuff. We're working jobs. We're paying all the bills. I come from a single parent household environment. So I always had a parent that was doing double duty. I became a parent that was doing double duty. My grandmother, single parent. My great grandmother, single parent. So I've watched the women over the past several generations do the same thing. And that's work themselves into fatigue, work themselves into coping mechanisms that were not good coping things, work themselves into, such a deep, dark, difficult place that by the time they were, in their latter years, their retirement years, they couldn't get out of the habit of, running themselves into the ground. And so they didn't enjoy the end of life or the latter seasons of the life or the season time of their life because they were out of practice in that respect. And so one of the deficits that you can develop and not even know it in not celebrating yourself is you're setting yourself up for a very hard landing when you get into your latter years. So again, some of the ways that I do that is 1, I like to travel. 2, I like to collect things. And 3, I like to celebrate them, like a birthday party, cake, ice cream, dancing, all the things. And you have to design, develop, celebration for yourself. Sometimes celebration for me is a cup of hot tea. So you can go as simple or as elaborate as the celebratory need is for you based on the season of life you're in, based on the season of the fight that you've just been through, but make sure that you're actually doing it. Otherwise, it makes you dull. It makes you difficult. It makes you edgy. It makes you angry. And then you become stoic. You become rock solid concrete in a way that then it's going to be difficult for you to be anything other than that. So you're not experiencing joy. You're not experiencing happy. You're not even experiencing the people around you, because when celebration happens, sometimes it's you celebrating, but then sometimes it's people celebrating you, and you got to allow that. So again, podcast episode 113 is my birthday episode, and it's all about the importance of you celebrating you. Now, if you are like me and, the thousands of people that I work with, sometimes trauma is the culprit that robs you of the ability to celebrate yourself. And as many of you already know, and hopefully are enjoying the process of reading The Risk of Being Seen, if you don't deal with the trauma, celebrating and enjoying and victory moments, you can't even embrace them, let alone celebrate them, because you have trauma that's robbing you of them. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at the Risk of Being Seen book, it's out, it's being read, and people are applying the strategies in it. I want you to do the same thing, because sometimes you don't know why you don't want to celebrate. You don't know why you have these blue periods, every month or every year or around the same time every year. But it's because you may have trauma or an experience that's buried in you that is stopping you from living the fullness of life. And we want to stop that. We want you celebrating. We want you enjoying. We want you to have joy in all the things you do, even the hard things. So if you haven't gotten a copy, it's out there for you. Just go to The Risk of Being Seen and get your copy today. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and audiobook and ebook. And it's a tool. It's a tool to help you grow on the inside so that the outside reflects the life that you love and enjoy, and then gifts you the ability to celebrate. So thank you for tuning in to Sweet Tea Time and listening to Sweet Tea on her 113 podcast episode. And I look forward to seeing you again. Now, if this helped you and you want to help some other folks celebrate, make sure you share it, like it, subscribe to it, and leave a comment. I don't want to pretend like I'm the only one that got some good celebration strategies with my hot tea and my seashells. How do you celebrate? Tell us, what's up? We want to know. Stop being selfish. Tell us all the stuff. We want to celebrate. Big fat party. So thank you for tuning in. And I look forward to celebrating the next podcast episode with you soon. Take care, and I'll see you soon.